Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Arjuna Vacha Sanyasasya Mahabaho Tattvamicami Veditum Jagasya Charishi Kesha Pritakeshi Nishudana.
Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation Tyaga and of the renounced order of life Sannyasa, O killer of the Keshi demon, master of the senses.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kamayanam Karmanam Nyasam Sanyasyam Kavayo Viduhu Karma Sarvakarma Phalatyagam Prahustyagam Vichakshanaha.
Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the giving up of activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men call the renounced order of life, sannyasa. And giving up the results of all activities is what the wise call renunciation, tyaga.
Tyajam dosha vediti eke karma prahurmanishinaha yagnadana tapaha karma natyajam iti chapare.
Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitless activities should be given up as faulty, yet other sages maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned.
Nishayam shrinu me tatra tyage bharata satama tyago hi purusha vyagra trividaha sampakiritaha.
O best of the Bharatas, now hear my judgment about renunciation. O tiger among men, renunciation is declared in the scriptures to be of three kinds.
Yagnadana tapaha karma natyajam karyameva tat yagnodanam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam.
Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls.
Etani api tu karmani sangam tyaktva falani cha kartavyaniti me parta nishritam matamutamam.
All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty. O son of Pritha, that is my final opinion.
Niyatasya tu sanyasaha karmano nopapadyate mohatasya parityagas tamasaha parikiritaha.
The prescribed duties should never be renounced. If one gives up his prescribed duties because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
Dukamityeva yat karma kaya klesha bayat gyajat sakritva rajasam tyagam nevatyaga phalam labet.
Or anyone who gives up prescribed duties is troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation.
Karyamityeva yat karma niyatam kriyate arjuna sangam tyaktva phalam chaiva satyagaha satviko mataha.
O Arjuna, when one performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done and renounces all material association and all attachment to the fruit of his renunciation, is said to be in the mode of goodness.
Nadveshtiya kushalam karma kushalena anushajyate tyagi sattva samavishto medavichina samshayaha.
The intelligent renouncer, situated in the mode of goodness, neither hateful of inauspicious work nor attached to auspicious work, has no doubts about work. It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities, but he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who is truly renounced.
Nahi deha brita sakyam tyaktam karmani asheshataha yastu karma phalatyagi satyagiti abhidiyate.
It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities, but he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who is truly renounced.
अनिष्टमिष्टमिश्रं च त्रिविधं कर्मणः फलं भवति त्यागिनं न तु सन्न्यासिनं क्वचित्.
For one who has not renounced the threefold fruits of action, desirable and undesirable, a mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy.
पञ्चैतानि महाबाहो करणानि निबोध मे सङ्ख्ये कृतन्ते प्रोक्तानि सिद्धये सर्वकर्मणाम्.
O mighty armed Arjuna, according to the Vedanta, there are 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of these from me.
अधिष्ठानं तथा कर्ता कारणं च पृथग्विधं विविधश्च पृथक् चेष्टा दैवं चैवत्र पञ्चमम्.
The place of action, the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the supersoul. These are the 5 factors of action.
शरीरवन्मनोभिर्यात् कर्म प्रारभते नरः न्यायं वा विपरीतं वा पञ्चैते तस्य हेतवः.
Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these 5 factors.
तत्रैवं साति कर्तारम् आत्मनं केवलं तु यः पश्याति अकृतबोधित्वान् न स पश्याति दुर्मतिः.
Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 actions, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are.
यस्य नाहङ्कृतो भावो बुद्धिर्यस्य न लिप्यते हत्वपि स इमं लोकं नाहन्ति न निबध्यते.
One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, does not kill, nor is he bound by his actions.
ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं परिज्ञाता त्रिविधा कर्म चोदना कारणं कर्म कर्तेति त्रिविधाः कर्म संग्रहः.
Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower of the 3 factors that motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer are the 3 constituents of action.
ज्ञानं कर्म च कर्ता च त्रिविधा गुणभेदतः प्रोच्यते गुणसंख्यान्ये यथा वच्त्रिनुतानि अपि.
According to the 3 different modes of material nature, there are 3 kinds of knowledge, action and performer of action. Now hear of them from me.
सर्वभूतेषु येनैकं भवम् अव्ययमीक्षते अविभक्तं विभक्तेषु तज्ज्ञानं विधि सात्विकम्.
That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness.
पृथक्त्वेन तु यज्ज्ञानं नानाभावान् पृथग्विदान् वेत्ति सर्वेषु भूतेषु तज्ज्ञानं विधि राजसम्.
That knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity, you should understand to be in the mode of passion.
यत्तु कृत्स्नावदे कस्मिन् कार्ये सत्कर्महेतुकम् अतत्वर्तावदल्पं च तत्तमासमुदारितम्.
And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work is the all in all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness.
नियतं सङ्गराहितम् आर्डगाद्वेषतः कृतम् अफलाप्रेप्सुन कर्म यत सात्विकमुच्यते.
That action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desire for fruitive results is said to be in the mode of goodness.
यत्तु कमेप्सुना कर्म सहङ्कारेण वा पुनः क्रियते बाहुलायासं तत् राजसमुदारितम्.
But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of force ego is called action in the mode of passion.
Anubandam kashyam himsham anapekshya cha paurusham mohadarbhyate karma yatat tamasamuchyate.
That action performed in illusion in disregard of scriptural injunctions, without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others, is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
Thank you so much, Sridham and Yash, for reciting these wonderful 25 shlokas from the 18th chapter. That was very nicely recited. We will now discuss today's verse, which is the text 8. Thank you. Text 8 from the 18th chapter. Dukhaham iti eva yat karma. Thank you, Yash. Thank you, Sridham. Dukhaham iti eva yat karma. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation. Purport. One who is in Krishna consciousness should not give up earning money out of fear that he's performing fruitive activities. If by working one can engage his money in Krishna consciousness, or if by rising early in the morning one can advance his transcendental Krishna consciousness, one should not desist out of fear or because such activities are considered troublesome. Such renunciation is in the mode of passion. The result of passionate work is always miserable. If a person renounces work in that spirit, he never gets the result of renunciation. Translation once again. Anyone who gives up the prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation. Let's just look at the previous verse to bring things in context. In the text 7, Krishna is saying prescribed duties should never be renounced. If one gives up his prescribed duties because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So here we see purport, work for material satisfaction must be given up. But activities which promote one to spiritual activity like cooking for the Supreme Lord and offering the food to the Lord and then accepting the food are recommended. It is said that a person in the renounced order of life should not cook for himself. Cooking for oneself is prohibited, but cooking for the Supreme Lord is not prohibited. Similarly, a sannyasi may perform a marriage ceremony to help his disciple in the advancement of Krishna consciousness. If one renounces such activities, it is to be understood that he's acting in the mode of darkness. And now, leading into this particular verse, what is mentioned here is that anyone who gives up the prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear, bodily discomfort, is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. So first of all, in the previous verse, Krishna is saying the activity should not be renounced. But now he's saying someone who's at the level of mode of passion may decide to renounce it, but that's not appropriate. So let's have a discussion on this verse. Om Jnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashat Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are in the section 1 of this chapter. Well, actually now section 2, because we are into the 8th verse, and the theme of this particular verse is renunciation in the mode of passion. And what is mentioned here is that giving up the prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort. Sorry, I do apologize. Those are the last line. The second line is from the previous verse. And this is the focus and the examples Srila Prabhupada gives from this particular verse, is that in Krishna consciousness, he gives an example that giving up earning of money out of fear that it is fruitive activity is not recommended. One should engage his money in Krishna consciousness. That is recommended. Rising early in the morning may be troublesome, and the results of passionate work is always miserable. One does not elevate in renunciation. So these are the 3 points which we will discuss today. So let's discuss the first one, which is in Krishna consciousness, giving up earning money out of fear that is fruitive activity, is not recommended. Let me ask you a question. Why do you think it is not recommended to give up an activity when you are earning money? Why is Krishna saying that it is not recommended? You can either unmute yourself and give your answer, or you can send a message via chat button, whichever lifeline you like to take of the 2. You can use a phone a friend as well if you like.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Girish Prabhu.
As per my understanding, I think this is because that if we have earn more money, then we'll tangle in more material things. We might get more money, more get pride, and go further away from our spiritual journey.
But Girish Prabhu, however, the point Krishna is making, he's saying don't stop earning. So entanglement will come if he was telling you, like, you may decide to completely detach yourself with the idea that I do not want to earn money. In that case, it is understandable. But why is Krishna saying that, or Prabhupada is giving an example that if you are engaging your psychophysical nature in a certain way to earn the money, Srila Prabhupada is recommending that. And why is that activity being recommended here? That's my question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
I think it is because when you earn money, you can use it for Krishna.
Okay, yeah, that's very good. So going back to Girish Prabhu's point, so Girish Prabhu, if I understand you correctly, what you are trying to say, why it is being recommended to carry on earning, you are saying is that there could be a time when we are earning so much that we get too much carried away. So that's also a good point, that one has to be conscious of the ultimate goal of life. However, what Krishna or Srila Prabhupada is alluding to in the purport, he's saying that do it, but do it for expanding Krishna consciousness. We have to somehow, Shobna Mataji is saying we have to act somehow. That is correct. So you see, we are all at the different stages of our practice in Krishna consciousness. Some of you may be very advanced. Some of us are still struggling with our anartha nivriti, or still struggling with our desires. And we are at different stages of our spiritual life. So what it is being suggested here to Krishna in this particular chapter in the beginning, to Arjuna by Krishna, is that try not to come to a stage of a false renunciation or giving up an activity just because you feel like, and you feel, oh, okay, great, I'm ready. But are you really ready? That's the question. Because it is a fact that at the end of the chapter, Krishna is telling us to, what is it telling to Arjuna? He's saying, Sarva dharmam parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshashyami ma shuchaha. He's saying, abandon all varieties of religion and surrender onto him. So everything which he's taught Arjuna, he's telling completely forget about all that. Now you just surrender to me. Because Arjuna had reached that stage where he could completely surrender to the Lord and just act he liked. Whereas in our particular case, although we may still be surrendered, but that doesn't mean we have to give up our activity. That is the beauty of Krishna consciousness against any other process, you see. So many people in India, when they hear of somebody going to join ISKCON, if their son joins or become a brahmachari, it becomes a cause of a greatest misery or suffering for them that, oh my God, ISKCON, this Hare Krishna people have taken away my son. He's not going to study. He's not going to work. He's not going to get married. Who am I going to play? He's not going to have children. I'm getting old. I need some, nati pote to look after, to take care and have play with them. All of that happiness I've been deprived of that because now my son is gone. So people start to overestimate and think, or they start to overthink the whole thing. Oh my God, my son is gone. He will never get married. Now, in this age of Kali Yuga, rarely we have brahmacharis who take to the brahmachari ashram and they continue to stay in that position and take sannyas. We are very privileged to have few of those examples in our ISKCON community, and many devotees are coming forward and taking that. Many devotees in Chopati, many devotees all over the world, absolutely. But if you compare it to the world outside, it is very, very minimum today. Of course, we have a great example of Sutapa Prabhu, who's walking the earth here in United Kingdom, and we are very fortunate to have such a devotee. But what the principle spoken here is that one has to continue his activity and engage at the same time in Krishna consciousness. And it is quite an interesting comparison Srila Prabhupada does, which I really liked. And I was thinking about this point. I don't know how many of you were thinking when he says, I read the line, if by working one can engage his money in Krishna consciousness, or if by rising early in the morning, one can advance his transcendental Krishna consciousness, one should not desist out of fear or because such activities are considered troublesome. You see, he gives a very two good example. One is in relation to a typical activity, which can be part of your devotional service, like getting up in the morning thinking, oh, Krishna, who will get up? I'd rather just sleep for an hour or snooze my alarm at least 2-3 times before I can wake up, like I do sometimes. So one is at that kind of level, think that, oh, this is too troublesome. I'd rather not carry on with this activity. Or on the other hand, Prabhupada says one should carry on working and earning money. You see, at the time of Srila Prabhupada, when he was starting the International Society of Krishna Consciousness in West, many devotees joined. And they joined full time and they put on saffron robes, either as a brahmachari, and in some cases very soon got initiated or even awarded sannyas by Srila Prabhupada. And there were times, those who were sometimes even brahmacharis or even sannyasis, Prabhupada had to ask them, you go get a job. Because he could understand, there were two reasons why Prabhupada did that. One, of course, there was money required to open the centers, to look after the devotees, to run the temples, absolutely. But Prabhupada could also see that because I have given these devotees sannyas and they are very young, so there may still be some kind of purification they have to go through. So he engaged their psychophysical nature according to their talent. He did not tell everybody that you go and start working now. Only to a few selected people he actually wrote that you must carry on working and support the temple by providing that money. And in our line, we have some great examples like Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, who really set a standard for all of us in terms of how one should earn and how one should use that earning in the process of Krishna consciousness. So, of course, if one can get to a stage of having such level of determination and enthusiasm to give, like how Rupa Goswami gave. So who would like to give me here a breakdown of the percentage of Srila Rupa Goswami's standard of setting a standard for actually all of us to follow at some stage in our life, or if we can at all? That should be our ultimate goal. So what is that standard Rupa Goswami had set by his example? Who would like to share that?
Krishna,
Yes, Hari Krishna Mataji.
I think he said 25% for the emergency money, 25% to
You're getting
it.
there? Yes, 25%. Mataji, what is your name? Because it's coming up as iPad here.
Kanta.
Kanta Mataji, yes. So 25% for emergency. Okay, very good.
25% for the relatives.
25% for the relatives. Very good.
Another 25%, what was that for? Using for himself.
Okay.
And then 25%, forgot.
So 25% he left it with Sanatan Goswami, so he could be rescued later on,
Yes, yes,
knowing his brother was still in behind the bars.
yes.
So
Yes.
Rupa Goswami set a very great example, and many senior teachers or disciple of Srila Prabhupada coming up in our line, what they recommend that in this age, if we can at least come to the standard of offering 10% of our earning, that is a great start to begin with. And then gradually one can increase according to their own personal capacity and commitment one has. Because you see, the whole idea of living to give is a wonderful idea, because if one comes to understand that I'm living in this world, but nothing really belongs to me, so what can I renounce to start with? Everything is given by Krishna. And there is a beautiful book called Ishopanishad, which right at the outset recommends that everything is being provided to us as our quota, and one should only try to strive for getting that quota and not try to over endeavor to getting something more than that. And that has been already set aside for us. So when something has been set aside for us and been given to us by the mercy of the Lord and the devotees, then it is our rightful duty to engage the same quota which has been given as much as possible for the service of the Lord. Because in the first place, it doesn't belong to us. That is why this principle of deity worship is so highly recommended. Srila Prabhupada writes in a letter to one of his disciples, I was reading, that these deities, you should make the center of your home. And you should think that these deities are the real proprietor of the place where you live in. And in that consciousness, you should carry on serving the family members and the devotees and everybody else around, keeping Krishna in the center. So that's the principle Srila Prabhupada has given us. So going back to the point of giving, it's a very good idea that as much as possible, we should give for the process of furthering Krishna consciousness, because this Prabhupada called it, or our scriptures called it, the best welfare activity. There is no better activity than giving for the sake of expanding the Sankirtan, the transcendental Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, especially to do with the book distribution or prasadam distribution. And of course, for any other activities for that matter at the temple. So that's the first and foremost thing, because by giving, we are achieving so much in return. What are we achieving? We are achieving a purified state of consciousness to practice Krishna consciousness with even more vigor and enthusiasm. That is what is happening to us. It is a very subtle science. We may not come to understand it right now, but it is by giving for Krishna consciousness, you're putting your credits in spiritual account, and you're only moving ahead in your journey to achieving the love of God or Krishna consciousness gradually. But if one doesn't have Lakshmi, then one can give his words, his mind, and his body in serving the Krishna consciousness movement. So there is no dearth of to be able to give something to the Lord. You see, even if we do not have money, let's engage this body in working for the Lord in whatever capacity we can. Even while we go to the work, to think how I can share Krishna consciousness with others, how I can act with an exemplary character so that others get inspired and follow the example. and how I can share prasadam when I'm going to work with them. How is it that I can invite them to the local temple for Janmashtami festival or Ramnavami festival as we come out of lockdown, especially? These kind of activities are highly, highly recommended actually. So please take this point very seriously of what Prabhupada is trying to say, that sometimes if you feel, oh, I want to, of course, if you are in a position to be able to renounce your so-called work in the material world and you've collected enough finances to sit down and do your bhajan, but alongside the bhajan, carry on doing, engaging your psychophysical nature in doing some physical activity for the Lord, like deity worship at home or at the temple, transfer service, serving prasadam, making samosas, cleaning the kitchen, going for shopping. These are all Krishna conscious activity, getting up early in the morning, doing your spiritual activities. Prabhupada called us, we are intelligent, lazy, intelligent fools. You know, we are not lazy fools. We are intelligent, busy fools. Prabhupada said, because the devotees are all the time engaged, you know, we can't call them, oh, he's not earning, he's only sitting. No, he's always thinking how to do better in Krishna consciousness. So that activity in itself is a wonderful activity. But until we reach that platform, it is very, very important that we carry on our current activities in whichever or whatever best position we can. Okay, so that was the first point. The second point was Prabhupada was mentioning that one must try to, if one is getting up and renouncing that getting up thinking it is too troublesome, that's not a very good idea. Because that activity you're doing can actually become a transcendental activity by getting up early in the morning, taking bath, doing your morning duties, applying tilak, chanting the prayers, preparing to chant your consciousness by reading something about the glories of the holy name, and then chanting the 16 rounds minimum, especially if you've taken a vow for after initiation. Those activities cannot be given up as a troublesome because they are our via medium, or that is what is called as a Vaidhi Bhakti, which really gets us ready for us to one day reach to the platform where all our anarthas or anartha nivriti can take place, and then we can have some nishtha and ruchi in the holy name. So these activities cannot be given up. They are very, very important and crucial for our progressing of Krishna consciousness. Then the next point we were to discuss was the result of passionate work is always miserable. One does not elevate in renunciation. So just renouncing an activity, thinking I'm in the mode of passion or I need to run around and I don't mind what I'm doing, that is not a great idea. One has to be always conscious of what he's doing. And if he's doing something and he possesses something, so-called something, what is the right way to renounce it? Krishna earlier verses taught Arjuna, he said, you have to renounce the results, or the attachment to those results has to be given up. Then you are situated, that is what he called it, proper renunciation. So similarly, understanding what real renunciation means and then trying to act on that path would elevate ones to gradually onto mode of goodness and finally to transcendental goodness. Just by simply thinking, as Prabhupada is calling it here, the words are, the result of passionate work is always miserable. If a person renounces work in that spirit, he never gets the result of renunciation. Just not knowing, if you haven't reached or you don't even have an understanding of how I should be acting in a renunciate spirit, that Prabhupada is calling it as a waste of time. That one has to avoid by all means, in all conditions, in all spheres of life. One should be very, very, actually, like there is a saying, sometimes we are not even conscious and we are trying to become Krishna conscious. So we have to be very conscious that we are human beings. It's a special life. Shastra is telling us, let's take advantage of the life. Bhagavad Gita is teaching us each activity very particularly how these three gunas are acting. Or else we can continue to think that I am the doer. But Krishna is telling, Prakriti Kriya Manani Guna Karmani Sarvasha Ahankara Vimudhatma Kartaham iti manyate. He's saying that, my dear friend, you may think that you're the doer, but no, actually it's the modes which are acting upon me, which are making me do all these various activities because I'm under the influence of these modes. But I think that I'm the doer because I haven't read that verse and I have no understanding of the Bhagavad Gita. So in that spirit, I can think what I like, but that is not going to save me from death, old age, birth, or disease. But if I come to the platform of understanding how Krishna consciousness can help me, how it can elevate me to the topmost transcendental platform, just by reciting, reading the Bhagavad Gita, taking the association of devotees, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, taking prasadam, worshipping the deities, that process will elevate me to Krishna consciousness or to the topmost platform actually. Everything else will not help me. Everything else, I have to leave it behind here. That's why Srila Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion gives us the 64 ways of practicing bhakti. And of the 64, he concludes by saying the 5 are principal. What are the 5? Mathura Vas, staying in Dham. If we cannot physically stay, till then we should mentally pray and prepare ourselves that one day we can also physically attain the Dham of spiritual Dham. But till then, we should aspire and try to be in Vrindavan consciousness as much as possible. Then is association. I mean, this is not in an order, but like I'm just saying, chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a very important out of those 5. Reading or studying Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of devotees. Number 3. Number 4, associating with the devotees. And number 5, Archa Vigraha worship, Archanam, deity worship. These 5 activities, if we can develop some attachment towards that, then our life will be successful. Not only that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains, and Rupa Goswami writes this, it is explained further that if we can develop even attachment to any of these activities, any of the 5, even then our life can become perfect, especially the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Imagine how wonderfully this process of Krishna consciousness has been made in a way quite easy for us. That's why Prabhupada says that sometimes Krishna consciousness, actually it is so simple one can miss this. That's how simple it is. It is difficult or complicated for those who are complicated. It is simple for those who are simple. So at that note, I'd like to bring today's discussion or monologue to end because it was a small verse. Those were some 3 points I wanted to expand and highlight on. Now, if you like to share any reflection or any comment or any question, which can hopefully help us expand this conversation further over the next 10 or 15 minutes, that would be wonderful. Do we have anybody who joined us for the first time? I had a message from Santosh Mataji that one devotee was probably going to join us. So is there anybody who joined us for the first time today? Please unmute yourself and you can say your name because I don't have my phone handy right now to see the name of the devotee Mataji has sent very kindly. But if not, feel free to share any reflections or any comments or questions you may have. Hare Krishna. Anybody like to share anything? Anything which stuck in your mind, which you find, which you could take it back and apply it in your life or share it with others? Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu, would you like to give us some pearls of wisdom, Prabhu? Anything you would like to share? Prabhuji is a great example that even though he's almost in his retired life now, yet he's a great example for today's verse that he's actively engaging all his senses and body, mind and words in the service of the Lord. by engaging in the distribution of the literature, by chanting Hare Krishna, by doing whatever service he possibly can. And that is what is needed. Rupa Goswami says that if one has a little bit of lolium, a little bit of greed, that's the price we need to pay to get devotional service actually. So this lolium and the greed to have devotional service is the biggest asset for a devotee actually. So we have to carry on in that spirit.
Prabhuji, my apologies. I've just joined late because I was with Kartik Chandra for the 60 plus Bhagavatam course.
Oh, okay, Prabhu, no problem. How was that?
Yeah.
Please, you can share something from there. We were discussing.
Yeah, it was a wonderful session by Kartik Chandra Prabhu, and we just finished the fourth chapter of the first canto.
Nice.
And yes, and that was ending with Vyasdev's misgiving as to why he's not feeling satisfied in the heart. And then Narad Muni appears. So that is the next session that we'll deal on. But thank you for directing me as to how I should lead my life. I'm still trying to do what you just said. But yes, I need the blessings of devotees like yourself and all of those who are assembled here, because I consider them superior to what I'm doing.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare
I would like to remind all of the devotees that tomorrow we have a great opportunity to join and take association of His Grace Amrendra Prabhu, a very, 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 very empowered disciple of His Holiness Radha Govind Maharaj, who's another very, 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 very empowered disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Radha Govind Maharaj lives in Vrindavan. Few years ago, he had some medical situation. He had an attack. Since then, his health hasn't been great, but his enthusiasm to spread the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, and particularly his lectures and kathas on different pastimes like Dhruv Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Bhishma Pitama. There are different stutis he has sung and beautiful kathas he gives in Hindi. They're all available on YouTube. So, and we can see the same spirit has been imbibed by His Grace Amrendra Prabhu, who's been given many talks in past through School of Bhakti. So tomorrow at 5 o'clock, in fact, if you can be logging in by 4:55, because we would like to start sharp at 5 o'clock and hear the glories of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, this wonderful literature, while we are preparing our consciousness for Gaur Purnima to welcome Shriman Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who will soon appear on the 28th of March in our hearts, in our life, hopefully. So we can expand that appreciation in our heart towards Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his wonderful teachings, which have been given to us by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in form of Chaitanya Charitamrita, how we can read, live, and distribute this wonderful literature. So please do tune in. All of you, I request all of you, don't miss this rare opportunity at 5 o'clock. I will share the link again on the group tomorrow morning. So please log in at 5 and then we will hear this wonderful nectar from Amrendra Prabhu. And on Sunday, we have another program by Sutapa Prabhu. And the details of that can be again shared on the group after tomorrow evening's program. So any other comments or questions from today? If there aren't any, then we can happily conclude early today. But if there are any comments or anybody has any questions related to this, or any questions any difficulties you're having or anything you want to ask, feel free to ask a question.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Oh,
Sorry.
Go ahead, Hema Mataji.
okay, sorry. Someone wants to ask something? Let them do that first.
I think that was Kanta Mataji. Go ahead, Kanta Mataji, and then Hema
Go
Mataji
ahead.
can share something.
No, Hema Mataji can go.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, Prabhuji. I also joined because after the Bhagavatam class,
Sure,
but
sure,
the last
Mataji.
bit I just heard was I was listening to a lecture where they said that we should pray to the Goswamis for giving us the Vrindavan Dham and for us to be always in consciousness of the Dham. Now, what do they mean by being in consciousness of the Dham all the time while not in the Dham?
I think, Mataji, my understanding, I remember His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj, when he was at our home in Vrindavan. This was 3 years ago. it was Kartik time. Maharaj had come very kindly to my parents' place to encourage them to carry on staying in Vrindavan, to empower them. And Maharaj was having breakfast with us, and we had a similar question. In that question, Maharaj said, actually, he was giving a talk after that. I had invited some of our friends in Vrindavan, other devotees from Gurgaon, and Maharaj said that to think of Krishna in a way as simply explained in the Bhagavad Gita, man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskaru, that and really in that I'm now kind of extending on that conversation. And Maharaj said, any activity you engage in Krishna consciousness is an activity of living in Vrindavan, because if you think of it in this way, that the life of the devotees in Vrindavan or Vrindavan consciousness is the consciousness of service. It's the consciousness of love or pure love for the Lord. And any activity which we perform, which will eventually lead us from this Vaidhi Bhakti to the Rag Marg, or the Bhakti to be spontaneously following in the footsteps of the Vraj Bhaktas or the Gopis, is as good as the same activity which is being performed by the Vrajvasis actually. It may not be on that platform, but it is in the same spirit. And when we are in the spirit, because if we think the spirit of Vrindavan is how I can and how others can come closer to Krishna. What is it that I can do which can become the biggest cause of the pleasure for my Nath, for my Lord? And that is why we have these beautiful pastimes like the Braj Gopis who are ready to give the dust to Narad Muni so that Lord Krishna's headache can be relieved. We have various other pastimes where all the gopis are trying to encourage other gopis or the new Sakhis or the other devotees to please come forward and help Krishna in enjoying his pastimes and do some service in whatever way. And among all these gopis, we hear that Srimati Radharani's biggest pleasure is the pleasure she experiences when she allows another devotee to serve the Lord. So that is Vrindavan consciousness. So similarly, if we are living here from morning to evening in whatever capacity, trying to engage our body and mind and words in the activities in helping others coming closer to Krishna and also helping our own self, Mataji, is as good as living in Vrindavan actually. Of course, there is that realm which Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur talks about, Mataji, that of course, living physically in Dham is the ultimate, and there are so much benefits. But what is the point, as you once yourself said a few days ago when we were discussing, or like you were alluding to this fact that we may prematurely decide to go and live in Vrindavan, but if we are not ready and we are thinking of other things outside of Vrindavan, then that is not a very best way to live in Vrindavan. Even if you want to desire to physically live in Vrindavan, the best thing to do is to have sadhana and the seva. It's very, very important, and the association of the devotees. And more importantly, if you are so empowered that your spiritual master blesses you, that yes, if you think your financial situation is such and such and you are in a position to retire, you have all my blessings to go and serve in Dham and do this and do that. That is the right way of approaching Dham. But until then, our consciousness should be of to how I can serve the Vaishnavas and how I can help others to come closer to Krishna. And that would be the Vrindavan consciousness, Hema Mataji, as per my limited understanding.
That is so nice, Prabhuji. Yes, helping others to come nearer to Krishna. Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Wonderful.
Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Kanta Mataji, you wanted to ask something?
Yes, Prabhuji. I am a little bit, confused when the say Krishna says, "Do your duties and give up the result" to Arjuna, and what result he should give up then?
So in his case, Mataji, the result was that Arjuna had already decided the result.
Mhm.
He had already come up in his mind that I will be responsible of the sin of killing my own relatives. He's telling Krishna, who is the supreme personality of Godhead, in that stage to teach us a lesson. As a devotee, Arjuna is trying to portray a character where he's telling, in one sense, he's saying, what good will bring by killing my relatives, and what use is of the kingdom which is tainted by the blood of my own kinsmen. There is a verse in the second chapter. He's trying to tell Krishna, and he's saying that it will only cause us infamy. He's telling Krishna, it will only become the cause of the degradation. I will be called all sorts of words he was using. And Krishna said, after all this, Krishna, I'm using my words. He's saying, you're fool number one to think like that. He said, you been asked to fight, so just simply fight thinking of me. Do not think what will be the result in the sense of one, who will be killed, how they will be killed, and finally, who will be responsible for that result. And Krishna's tell, by my arrangement, I have already put them to death. Oh Savyasachi, you just become an instrument. Nimitta matra, you just become nimitta matra, you become an instrument and fight in that spirit. And then Krishna gives a very logical reasons. He said, by Kshatriya, your psychophysical nature is to engage in fighting. You cannot live by begging. You cannot live by going to Himalayas and retiring and sitting in one place. That is not your nature right now. You are a Kshatriya. The time will come when you can maybe do that. I mean, he's not saying that, but he's saying you got to engage in your nature. And that was the spirit or the mood of the verse which it discussed. We cannot prematurely give up our activities thinking they are troublesome. No, we are not lazy fools. We are intelligent fools, as Prabhupada calls. We engage our body in as much as possible in Krishna conscious activities. Even if we have to go to work, we try to make our work so spirited in some way or other, we try to connect it to Krishna. So it is that result, Mataji, that, okay, I've got a job. I'm always thinking, okay, 50,000 pounds, 40,000 pounds. I haven't even got the job. I'm about to start and I've already made up my mind. I'm going to buy an Audi A4. And I think it will give me that much mortgage. I'm going to buy a house and I'm going to buy an Apple Mac. And I think I'm going to take a holiday to Hawaii and I'm going to have so much of fun. I'm going to have a great food, go into a nice restaurant, order a nice meal. So these are all the kinds of result at a very initial stage where we start to think how I can enjoy actually. So that it's completely, karmic. There is a karmic reaction to it. But the other activity is, okay, I've been paid and now I'm trying to practice Krishna consciousness. Let me work and whatever Lakshmi I have, I'll utilize it for worshipping the deities at home, looking after the Vaishnavas, serving them, and giving some money to building of Haveli, some money to Sankirtan department in helping distribution of the books, and some money in distribution of Krishna Prasadam. So you're deciding what you can do, but yet do not be attached thinking, oh, even as a devotee, we should not think, okay, Krishna, I'm doing so much for Krishna. I'm sure Krishna is going to award me devotional service. Even that is not the best kind of idea. You're giving, yes, this is a Krishna conscious activity. It's going to give you the spiritual benefit. Just leave it at that actually. But so the idea is for Arjuna, he was attached to already deciding what he was going to do and how he is going to be responsible. So that is what giving up result means, Kanta Mataji. I hope that's helpful.
That is wonderful explanation, Prabhuji. Just wonderful. Thank you so much. It was in my mind so many times I wanted to ask, but I couldn't. So thank you so much. Brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, dear devotees, if anybody has any last comment or questions, I'm really inspired. Yes, go ahead.
I just want to know what is Vaidhi Bhakti?
Okay, so Shipra Mataji, that's a very nice question. There are two kinds of bhaktis which are given to us by our acharyas, Mataji, and it has been spoken in many scriptures, including Nectar of Devotion, which is a very important book for us. The Vaidhi Bhakti is the first and foremost step. Vaidhi means regulation, Mataji. The word regulation means having a discipline. Like, I'll give you an example. When we are cooking for Krishna or the deities at home, a lot of time our idea, at least my intention is, what is it that I like to eat today? Let me cook that. And there will be a stage, so that's called Vaidhi Bhakti, that I'm still going to cook, although I may have some attachment to this particular item, but I'm going to offer it to Krishna and then I'm going to honor. And one day the stage will come where I will learn from books like Nectar of Devotion, Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, by our acharyas, by my spiritual master, that there are certain dishes which Krishna likes. Krishna likes to have puris, Krishna likes to have rasgullas, Krishna likes to have these dishes. Krishna likes to have food which is in Sattva Gun, as he's telling in Bhagavad Gita. So there will be a stage when I'll think, what is it that Krishna like, and let me cook that, and whatever then the remnants are left, I'm going to honor that. So that is a stage where we have passed Vaidhi Bhakti and reached a Raganuga platform, or what we call the Raganuga Bhakti, which will get us to Ragamarg. I do not want to go into the details, nor am I qualified to speak on that topic, but I can speak on, I just wanted to give you a difference between Vaidhi Bhakti and the higher stage, which is the Raganuga Bhakti. So Vaidhi Bhakti is a regulated Bhakti where we are very disciplined, where we count what we do. And the reason we count is, Rupa Goswami says that you get strength by counting things because you build discipline every day. That's why we have these counting beads in our mala. You see, if you see a devotee chanting, but you do not see on his bead bag the counting beads, then you know that, okay, there may be a certain situation, or the person is not so keen about it because is living on a mental platform. That's not recommended. So counting of our sadhana and doing it with these words Prabhupada used: serious, sincere, and strict. By applying these three words to our daily sadhana and doing it every day little bit, constitute Vaidhi Bhakti, Mataji. And there will be a time when we, like for example, the gopis in Vrindavan, they are not doing Vaidhi Bhakti because they are 24 hours thinking, how can I serve Krishna? How can I serve Krishna? What can I do to Krishna? Even Yashoda Maya, while he's churning the milk, she's singing the song. She's always meditating. My Lala is sleeping and she's looking at his beautiful face. From the place where she's churning the milk, she can see the beautiful bed and she can see the Lord's lotus face, and she's saying, my Lala is going to get up and he's going to ask for this butter or milk and let me get this ready. And the Lala gets up. Now she's given the butter. Now she's thinking, my Lala will come back after herding of the calves and cows, and I need to keep some nice bhoga ready for my Lala. And then every morning Srimati Radharani is getting up, and there is not even a single dish which she prepares gets repeated again at all, Mataji. So these are the activities which are on a spontaneous platform, but we cannot artificially reach that platform. Our only way is to perform Vaidhi Bhakti, or the regulated devotional service, which is given to us by our Acharya, more specifically chanting the 16 rounds or a regular number of rounds until you haven't got to that stage, following the 4 regulative principle. Reading Prabhupada books, I would even call that Vaidhi Bhakti, systematically, daily. And if you can put certain number of pages, even better, and then gradually the quality will come in. So daily doing some rhythmic, systematic effort towards showing Krishna, I'm going to show up. I'm there in the queue. Please watch out for me. That's Vaidhi Bhakti, Shipra Mataji.
Okay, very nice explanation, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, dear devotees, thank you so much for your association. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow at 4:55 p.m. in the association of Amarendra Prabhu, and hear the nectar coming from Chaitanya Charitamrita, so we can also prepare our consciousness to be in Mayapur, because that's the dham of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, where he appeared, and that will help us to be in the conscious of dham and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I'll see you all at 4:55 p.m. tomorrow evening. Until then, please look after yourself. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.